Whenever you call my name, and he'll never know. Baby, won't you hold me? Won't anybody? Whenever you call my name, and he'll never know. I need you, oh please. Whenever you call my name, and he'll never know. Baby, won't you hold me? Won't anybody? Whenever you call my name, and he'll never know. I need you, oh please. Whenever you call my name, and he'll never know. Baby, won't you hold me?
It is Thursday. Is it Thursday today? It is Thursday, April 3rd. It is the day after Liberation Day. I've been getting in arguments with people all over the place related to what does that actually mean? Liberation. And, everyone's like, oh, tariffs, the market's going to drop, So the market has to drop, it has to correct itself, and then it'll come back up. And there's this thing that's being created by the left in order to create panic. So they're cashing out stocks, doing things to drive down the market, shorting stocks. It's the largest amount of market manipulation I think I've seen in quite some time. So I would tell you to just relax, take a deep breath, wait it out, sit on the sidelines. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't pay attention to what's happening right now any more than you did when we started this experiment. At some point, I do believe that there has to be short-term gain or short-term pain in order to have long-term gain. If you want to have stabilized jobs that return to the United States, you got to have to make changes. And the entire world, think about it this way. The entire world, you have been the daddy for the entire world. They have taken all your money, your tax money, all the bad people. I don't know why I'm getting this feedback loop where I hear myself either across the hall or I don't know what's happening, but it's definitely not in my ears, Apollo. All right. So we've literally been their daddy. They've taken all of our money, 100% of it, and they've distributed it out to all these places. And most of that's done by the CIA and by special interests, other countries. And we can talk about, what people have dual citizenship. I mean, I don't know how many people in Congress have dual citizenship, but I think it's like 40 or 50. And it's all Israeli citizenship. So they have Israeli citizenship and they have the U.S. citizenship. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we talked about this yesterday, and I've really been having some hard conversations with friends, my all Jewish friends, like 100% Jewish. I'm having these conversations, and I'm like, all right, explain this to me. Explain to me the representative 2.2% of the population and the roughly 30% or 40% of Congress, the 46% of the judiciary, and explain to me what we're dealing with if it's not, if our policies aren't being driven by a specific small group of people. I mean, George Soros is out buying everything. Now, what you don't know about George Soros is that he was one of the bad guys. Like he was one of the bad guys that sold out the Jewish people. I mean, bad guys meaning that his entire family was trying to find Jews and give them to concentration camps as if they were feeding the volcano in Hawaii for some old ritual. You have people like Yuval Noah Harari, who was at the University of Jerusalem and is Jewish. He's just a terrible human being, like transhumanism, hurt people, atheist. Like this guy's a complete atheist. He doesn't believe in God. He said that he's going to become the God, that they are going to become the gods. And so I've been having these conversations because I think it's important that we talked about the people in Israel specifically, and as a person that loves all of my heritage, I know mutt. It's very difficult for me to sit here and go, okay, how do I reconcile this? How do I reconcile what we've never been able to talk about? And I'll talk about anything. Like you can't stop me from talking about truth, period. And you know what? You can't hidey hole me or tell me you can't talk about it. And your dog whistles don't work with me. They've been using them for the last 4 years. They don't work with me. I don't hate anybody. I hate demons. I hate radicals that hurt people. Frankly, I don't like judges. I don't care if you're Jewish or you're a basket weaving atheist. Don't care. I think most 80, 90% are rabid, power hungry, rotted to the core, demonic shit people. That's what I think. I think that they've ruined many lives. I think our judiciary has stood as the hired henchmen for really evil people who are typically lawyers and doing really bad things, politicians, you name it. The apparatus is built to punish the American people like they did Tina Peters. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And we're going to talk about Tina. And we're going to get into some weird stuff related to what's going on in Canada and how they're not able to drink whiskey anymore. Bourbon. So I feel so bad for them. Not really, because you've allowed it to happen there too. Same way we've been able to allow things to happen here. Well, let's get into this. I'm gonna come back to that. We'll talk a little bit more about that today. But I want you to know that in order to solve a problem, you got to be looking at the problem. You got to work the problem. And everywhere that I've ever turned, when I start looking at working the problem, it is directly related to not just symptoms. Like here are the symptoms. Like our elections are stolen. Anyway, we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to all that stuff. Now I want to tell you a little bit of stuff. Tina Peters was moved to the Denver Women's Jail early this morning, 3:00 in the morning, to serve out the rest of her 9-year sentence. I'm just going to say this right now to Pam Bondi and President Trump and Kash Patel. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You want them to get their pound of flesh? You can't do something for a woman that stood up for you for 4 years, that fought. You can't levy the things that need to get levied in order to take care of the bad people that have hurt Tina Peters. You can't do that. We got to wait. What exactly are we waiting for? You can't reach in and just say, yeah, we're done. She's a witness for us. We're going to take her out. Even if you put her in protective custody for the feds, you have the ability to do it. The supremacy clause is a real thing. And yet you're letting Tina Peters languish in jail. I mean, just imagine what I would think if I were Tina. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. Do the right thing. Stand up. You got an evil prosecutor who 100% conspired with the judge, conspired with the AG's office in Colorado, and conspired with the DOJ. It's a conspiracy. It was a criminal conspiracy to go after Tina Peters and to make an example out of her. They already proved that they'll let a guy out that murders an American. An illegal murders an American gets 1 year in jail. And yet you want to let her languish in here with a 9.5 year sentence. 6 months is enough. I think it's time you put your foot down and do the right thing. I mean, we're willing to do it for money, right? We're willing to do tariffs. You're willing to watch the stock market drop by 15%, 18%. And I can support you and still look at this and say, this is bullshit. You let these people take what isn't theirs. And frankly, that's what's been happening to the American people. And we don't have billions of dollars laying around. It's not like we can go be worth $5 billion and now you're worth $1 billion. You're still worth $1 billion. It's not like you can't look at the Tesla stock and go, all right, it was at 490. Now it's at 230. It's still worth 800 billion. It's still a rounding error. The drop of $700 billion is still a rounding error for Elon Musk. You're still worth $40-50 billion or whatever it is. But when you have people out there that are putting every dollar that they have, disproportionately, everything that they have into this, and we sit on the sidelines and watch it happen, it's wrong. It's wrong. I don't care who you are. It's wrong. We shouldn't have to go through it. So Tina is still awaiting justice as the DOJ and Colorado AG continue to fight over her case. Colorado AG's most recent statement reveals something interesting. It would appear that Garland was meddling in Tina's case and had some sort of involvement. Up next, we're going to talk about the fraud in Wisconsin election. All that evidence continues to pile up, proving that Scott Presler, I'm gonna do it every time. Statements are wrong. And by the way, everything that he's saying is wrong. And then you got TPUSA, you got Charlie Kirk getting involved in it. It's like a popularity. It's like the high school football team with a bunch of geeks that, frankly, couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. But they want to convince, they want to simp on the American people and say we're doing really well as they stuff $100 bills in their ears. We've been saying it for a long time. It's not the voters. The idea of outvote, you just have to vote harder next time, is the same mentality they've been running for 20 years. They're running the same playbook. They're very desperate. And yet we've let it happen. We've let them do this. So, and then later we're going to have Angie Wong join the show to discuss her involvement in Florida politics, along with what she thinks is going on with the mysterious dragon fog. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but we're going to talk about it. It's making a bunch of people sick. And so then I want to switch gears and I want to stir some things up with what's happening now with Laura Loomer. Multiple staffers were fired after meeting with her. The mainstream media is in full panic mode, and one has to ask why. Now, I haven't yet asked for a meeting with President Trump, but I'm going to be asking for it. I'm going to ask for it. I've given enough over the last 4 years that I want a private meeting. I want to know personally. Like, I want him to look me eyeball to eyeball so I can say Eric Coomer was on that call. Here's the things that I did. Here are the things that back it up. Here's the line of all the things that are happening, every bit of it. And I want to be able to hone in on it. And I want to say, and here, by the way, is the information out of this case. And here's the information out of this case. And here's the information about Dominion. And here, by the way, are some whistleblowers. We probably need to talk to those people. And I want to look eyeball to eyeball with him. And I want him to look at me in the eye and be able to say, oh, yeah. I either can validate what Joe's saying or I can't. And frankly, if people can't, if he can't, then it'd be a dark day for me. But that would be impossible. That'd be impossible. So I want to get that out of the way first, because we still have to do this charade. We still have this case President Trump's, involved in, his campaign is involved in getting sued for. And I want to hammer it out. I want to hammer it out, and I want to know what's going on with Tina, and I want to know why things are taking so long on Tina's case. But I'll handle one, and then we'll get to the other. So I am going to be asking for that. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And we'll talk about Liberation Day. We're going to talk about a lot of things. What's going on with the Canada tariffs. We've got the scoop. We got a lot of things to talk about. So all this and more on Untamed. Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talks about what's really happening. And let's have conversations about what truth is. Well, we have a lot going on. But I'm going to start by talking about what we just talked about with Tina Peters. This morning, Tina was transferred to the Denver Women's Jail to carry out the remainder of her 9-year sentence. Served consecutively, by the way. It's not just 9 years. It's like 1 year, 2 years. Like, she'd already right now be eligible for release if it was served concurrently, which is typically how it goes. 1.5 years here, 2 years here, 3 years here. She'd already be out. But that piece of shit judge, Matthew Barrett, that radical, deviant, I want to say so much right now, but I can't. I'm trying. I quit drinking 6 months ago. Best thing I ever did. It was awesome. So I quit drinking, and now I'm trying to stop cussing. So I'm going to try and I'm trying to get rid of all my bad habits so I can figure out what my bad habits are. I don't know if any of you guys have had that problem. I certainly do. You'd say, well, Joe, you can't get rid of everything. I was like, I could try. I try to not want to rip demons' arms off and beat them with them. But I could say a lot about that judge or the AG or the DA, Dan Rubenstein, or all the trashy pieces of garbage like the Secretary of State and the governor. They all can kiss my ass. These are all terrible human beings. These are terrible, demonic, just disgusting people. Well, we do have this. Tina Peters was, now they say that her health is failing. Yeah, it's diminishing. I mean, when you're 69, almost 70 years old, your health is diminishing. Her mental faculties, though, they're not diminishing. Her mental her mental facilities are not diminishing. I don't care what anybody says. She's more defiant today than she ever has been. This is John Strand. I don't actually know why it wasn't. Anyway, whistleblower Tina Peters was transferred to Denver Women's Prison early in the morning to begin serving a 9-year sentence for the crime of exposing fraud. So that's Tina right now. Let me show the picture of Tina. So the DOJ, there's Tina. She's a beautiful woman. What makes Tina's case, leave that picture up. Let me just tell you a little bit about Tina. It's not that she stood up. It's not that Tina stood up for what was right. Is it no matter how many times she was betrayed, attacked, lied about, arrested, abused, and all of these things happened to Tina. The judge lied about a video happening on an iPad. The judge found her guilty of recording something happening in the courtroom, but that never happened. It was overturned on appeal because there was no video. So the judge found her guilty of recording, found her in contempt of court, made her serve a sentence at her home for contempt of court for recording on an iPad. And the judge mentioned it. You openly defy the court. Judge Barrett, you're a piece of shit. I'm going to say it right now. You piece of shit. You're a deviant too. Well, that's a different deal. We'll talk later about that. But was found guilty they had the iPad in their possession. They never even brought the iPad into and said, okay, here's the video. Because you know what? The video didn't exist. There was no video. There's no video. They gave him back the iPad. And the second the iPad was given back to Tina Peters and it was opened up and we're like, okay, where's the video? There's no video. So the judge convicted her of recording without any evidence of there being a recording. That's the power of the judges in our environment. They could just make up whatever they want. Now, Tina Peters had the ability to go fight it. So did, and won on appeal. Like this is the Court of Appeals, at least maybe there's one or two good judges that have to put up with the BS of the other deviant bad judges, the rotted apparatus of our judiciary. Tina Peters just fought right through it. Nope, I'm not. And they're like, just take a plea deal on this. They offer a plea deal. She's like, why would I do that? There's no video. You're lying. The judge in that case stopped court and charged her with, but that wasn't it. In order to get the iPad, by the way, they sent officers down to handcuff her. And then charged her with, I think, resisting arrest. Was that it, Apollo? Resisting arrest? Assaulting a police officer? Some absurd.
Police officer and resisting, I think.
And you could see in the video where they tightened down the cuffs. They cuffed her to take her iPad. Not doing anything wrong. Now, I just want to remind you, this same area of police officers watched Eric Coomer drive into a building, run into a bar, drink in the middle of the day, then lie about it and commit a crime. You know what the crime was? Influencing a public official. Do you know what they charged Tina with? Influencing a public official. Same crime. Same crime that they charged Tina with, they charged Eric Coomer with. Oh, but that's right. They didn't charge Eric Coomer with it. You want to know why? Because his lawyers showed up on the side of the road and negotiated with the police so that he would just get a reckless driving ticket. I mean, Tina Peters is facing 9.5 years in prison for uncovering election fraud. Oh, that's right. The judge wouldn't let her talk about any of that and called Conan Hayes, a federal CI, a surfer, and then barred Tina's defense from talking about Conan Hayes, a known federal CI. They had an affidavit from Conan Hayes. Not allowed to have it in. Jury's not allowed to see it. This is what the judge did in Tina's case. And that woman right there, this beautiful woman, this gold star mom, whose son gave her his life for this country, whose husband, the DA's office got involved to divorce him because he has dementia and he was in a home They went and used that to get a family member interfered with her marriage to her husband of over 30 years and instituted a divorce against her husband to make it impossible for Tina to have the support. It basically cuts off support. And then they put him in a home 3 states over, and then they put him on morphine until he died. Tina Peters. And that's what these demons did to Tina Peters. 9.5 years. There's not enough disgusting in the world to talk about how disgusting and vile and evil these pieces of trash are. Secretary of State Jenna Griswold, she's a traitor. She's a treasonous traitor. She deserves to be tried for treason. Governor Jared Polis, he's the one that assigned a judge who has no experience and used the little piddling that they do inside the court case to put a judge that he had put on in March to make sure that she was on our case and that a 20-year judge that had just ruled against Coomer was pushed out. And then they put this woman in to say probable falsity. Jared Polis, treason. Phil Weiser, the AG, who worked with the DOJ and worked with the DA and made promises that you'll get, oh man, when Kamala Harris or Biden gets in there, we'll take care of you. We'll scrub that back for you. They conspired together in order to attack Tina Peters. And no matter what, this woman stood up. She stood up every single step of the way. They stole the election from her in 2022. She ran for Secretary of State. Stole it. All the data says it was stolen. All of it. All mathematical data, everything. Everything we did. The cast vote records, everything. Stolen. They stole the election. They continue to steal elections everywhere. And then you have people like Scott Presler, a little fairy that just dances around on a stage like he's some sort of, I don't even know, Kardashian, telling us to vote harder. The DOJ has expressed interest in Tina's case. Colorado AG has pushed back. Here's the latest statement. We put it up. I'm fired up, bro. I'm like really fired up. If you were wondering. If you weren't wondering if I was fired up, I'm fired up. All right, let's see if I can get this real quick. Pursuant to the court orders of March 12th, this statement of interest in the United States of America, Respondent Attorney General Philip Weiser respectfully submits this reply in support of his request that the court reject the proposed statement of interest in the United States of America. You got a little piece of crap AG that's rejecting the interest of the United States Attorney General. The United States filed a statement of interest in this case and proffered no reasonable interest in the United States has in this matter, but instead, without a single supporting fact, promised a review by the Department of Justice as to whether the prosecution of Tina Peters was an abuse of the criminal justice system, oriented more towards inflicting the political pain than towards pursuing actual justice or legitimate government objectives. ECF number 16, given the patent impropriety and baselessness of such a threat, as well as a lack of any articulable interest in the United States in the habeas proceedings, respondent asked the court to reject the statement of interest. In his response, the United States makes no attempt whatsoever to provide, can't say anything else, any justification for its threats to investigate the Peters prosecution, nor does it assert a single fact or make a single argument with respect to the propriety of her prosecution or sentence. Instead, it simply parrots arguments already advanced by Ms. Peters' counsel regarding her appeal bond. While the United States has broad power to file statements of interest, it has no basis to threaten to investigate Tina Peters' prosecution and cannot articulate even the slimmest rationale why the United States has any interest in whether an individual state criminal defendant is entitled to an appeal bond, a bond that is virtually never granted any criminal defendant in the state of Colorado. That's not true either, you little prick. Other than simple acting as co-counsel to restate the argument of Ms. Peters' counsel, it is unclear why the United States wants to do vindicate is unidentifiable interests. In light of the United States' failure to identify any proper interest or otherwise provide helpful information, the court respondent reiterates the request that the statement be stricken. I want you to just understand what was just said. Respondent objects to the statement of interest. Now, this week we've been talking a lot about Scott Presler and the election in Wisconsin. We are not stupid people. You are not a stupid person. They want to convince you that what they're saying and what they're doing is reasonable. They want to convince you that what they're saying and they're doing is somehow logical or ethical. But we know it's not. We know it's not ethical. We know it's not reasonable. And we've sat here and talked about the rationale behind Tina Peters being let out, and the fact that it was a political persecution. See, people are not stupid. But Phil Weiser is, again, doing what they have done for the last 4 years, and they are whitewashing and gaslighting the American people, and they are writing things that they don't even believe themselves. These are criminals running a criminal enterprise that is being propped up by a criminal judiciary that has done nothing to support the values and or the interests of the American people. And we can see it, we can touch it, we can feel it. See, there is no 14th Amendment in this country that has been applied to law. Equal rights under the law. No. Judges, what they're proving right now to you is that you're a slave and that this piece of trash judge in Mesa County, this treasonous piece of trash that is doing the work of Phil Weiser, of Jenna Griswold, of Jared Polis, these three criminals that operated in succinct unison with the DA, Dan Rubenstein, to do immense harm to Tina Peters and walk past the 3 Mesa reports, 4 actually, because Jeff O'Donnell just did another one, and tell us there's nothing to see here and you're not allowed to get involved in a state case. If there was any time that Pam Bondi should reach into the throat of these bad people and take Tina Peters out and show the power of the federal government right now to the state of Colorado, it would be right now. And if I had to tell you what I would do, I would tell you right now. I would also reach in and I would arrest I would take all of the case files that are inside of the discovery for the sealed case of Patrick Byrne versus Dominion versus Patrick Byrne. I would reach in, grab that information, and I would arrest Eric Coomer. I would arrest John Polis. I would arrest all the people involved in Dominion voting systems. I would move downstream. I would get a hold of the people that we have that we know for a fact. We know for a fact there are people that are whistleblowers overseas that can corroborate that evidence. And I would come into the state of Colorado and I would physically arrest every single one of these people as you took Tina out of jail. That's what I would do. These are criminals. These are pieces of trash in our country that have captured the voice of the American people and have stolen it. I would start there. Yeah, I'm angry. But let's talk about Wisconsin. Remember they said nothing to see here? Oh, Republican. Okay, I'll just skip past all of it then. That's fine. I'm going to take a commercial break. We have our guest in, so I'll go to the guest first. Then I'll come back and I'll start talking to you about all the evidence we have in Wisconsin. Give me a break. Pop it. We'll be right back. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage, we also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle. Are you looking for monthly income without risks of stocks? Here's something you won't hear on CNBC. There's a unique way to collect royalties directly from America's most productive oil fields. No exploring, no drilling, no operating headaches. You simply collect checks month after month. The best part? You can get started with just $25 through any brokerage account. The Oxford Club Chief Income Strategist, Mark Lichtenfeld, breaks down what he believes is the .1 oil royalty plan for 2025. Visit oilboom2025.com now to learn more. That's oilboom2025.com. Stop buying oil stocks and start collecting oil royalty checks instead.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Military, both active and retired, and first responders get up to 40% off memberships. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot.
All right, so welcome back. I got a chance to talk to Angie Wong. We were talking about Columbia University. I'm not going to fault her for going to Columbia, but it is an absolute hangout of the kind of really rough people. CIA. All right, but with that said, let's bring Angie in so I could talk a little bit about that. So oh, yeah, it's a different environment. I talk about Jeffrey Sachs. I talked about Jeffrey Sachs before it was even cool to talk about Jeffrey Sachs when he was doing the Millennium Project. And I've been kind of the antithesis to all the things that they say that they're doing by accident. I always say that most of my life has been done by accident. I'm like the Forrest Gump of life.
Oh my goodness, I say that too. I just stumble into my everyday life and
God.
somehow, I'm still smiling.
Yeah, it's a God thing. I'm going to tell you.
It is a God thing.
Don't ignore it, because that means God's got his hands on you, which is really, really good. So you are a journalist.
That's the rumor.
Yeah. And you live down in Miami. It's a beautiful place.
It is.
It's
It
kind of
is.
fun. Mostly peaceful place.
We turned it red in this last election cycle, and we hope to keep it red. For some reason, talk about Forrest Gump, right? I fell into politics, and I just kind of winged it. And in New York City, when I volunteered for my very first races, we were able to turn the tiniest sliver of Manhattan red. It was the only part of Manhattan to ever go red. I'm like, oh, this is fun. Let's do it again. So we came over to Miami, and again, we went up something like 17 points in the last election. We turned it red. We hope to keep it red, but there's some problems with that, and we could talk about it. But yeah, I hope to keep repeating that success, but it is very Forrest Gumpish, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along.
Yeah, it's I don't believe that it was ever not red. I believe that it was red, and we have. I talk a lot about election systems and the mechanisms of why they use to steal elections. And you have 3 companies that represent 97% of the elections in this country. 3 companies. 3.
I know
All 3
2.
Well, you have Smartmatic, ES&S. You have Clear Ballot, which is not really a big. They don't have as much of a Dominion. Okay, so you could argue 4 has 99%. So they use the same apparatus. They use the same substructure. They share code bases. What code bases they don't share, they share in the structures in order to push it up to CITL and CITL to Edison in order to push that stuff out to the public. So then that goes to what New York Times and all the other different publications, and you can get an API that builds into it that gives you all that data. So it's all the same structure, all of it. And you have mail-in ballots, and wherever there's mail-in ballots and no ID, it's bright blue. Like if you have no ID and you have 100% or compulsory mail-in ballots, Republicans don't win. They don't have a majority in anything. Now, it's really hard for them to take everything, but they can pick and choose using that system anything they want. And I believe that in 2022 and in 2024, that one of the things that the governor of your state did really well is he sat and watched everything. And there was a great amount of fear that if they started stealing stuff down in Miami, I mean, keep in mind, the Hispanic population is a very conservative population. Right?
No, absolutely. They won the election for us. We saw the trends coming. Now we have to keep the trends. Now, all of this, it's funny, we talk about elections, but what it really is it's a math problem, right? Mm-hmm. We just need one more vote than they have. And you just talked about some of the mechanisms and how the systems work. Yeah, we see faults in them all day long. Look, I went to the Board of Electors here. We watched the process, and so much of it was still on paper. That's not necessarily going to help us either. It's just really understanding what you're doing. This is no longer, hey guys, get out the vote, do your part. No, this is a math game. And Democrats know very well how to ballot harvest, sometimes legally, sometimes not. But there's no checks and balances to any of this. Even a signature, right? Those are very difficult. Those are all human eyes looking at everything. So I hope now that we have all 3 branches of government, we could hopefully get something done to correct this, because it's not about Republican or Democrats now. Now it's just what's fair. And I hope that we have a president who understands how the cheat works and how not to cheat, and just saying, look, this is for everyone. This is how we're going to go forward from this point forward. Now, you spoke about judges earlier. Well, they're going to be blocking them all the way. But all judges can really do at this point is just delay the process, because I can't imagine in our highest courts that they would not want to make sure that every American, valid American, can vote. So we're going to have to do that. That's another fight we're going to have to get through in the next 4 years.
All right. So tell me about the corruption in Florida. I mean, you've been doing this a while now. You're down there checking on things. Is it clear? I mean, is there corruption, or is it Snow White down there?
Oh, come on. I mean, we're in the business of politics. Like, which part of corruption do you want to talk about? There's so much. Whenever there's campaigns and ego and power and money, there's always going to be something, right? I mean, I work with a lot of candidates, and sometimes it takes a second, and I realize, hang on, what are you doing there? You shouldn't be doing that. But you know what? Power and ego always takes over. And that's the sad part. And I get it, because you can almost taste it, right? You can almost taste having a congressional seat or being the governor or whatever it is. And it changes people. I've helped people from the time that they were just running for really small seats, like state reps, and seeing them now, and the DC K Street consultant gets in their ear, and all of a sudden they're like a completely different robot, right? So it's sad. I've helped a lot of congressional races and got a lot of freshmen in, and I will tell you, Joe, something happens in the third term. I don't know what it is. everyone that I've helped get in or that I've supported, they're great in the beginning. When they're freshmen, they're like green-eyed, they love it, they're in Congress, everything's exciting, they want to change the world. And I think they realize after a round or two, they're like, well, I can't actually affect any change. And this whole entire thing is a big money grab. And I have to raise money for my reelection or else I lose my seat. And all these other things come into play, and they realize they don't actually pass bills, right? Or do that
It's done by
much.
proxy. It's done by,
No proxies.
No. Nays or yays. Most of the Congress, most of the bills, the appropriation bills for spends in Congress, unless you call for a vote, is all those in favor, yay. All those against, nay. Yays have it. It's not a recorded vote. They can spend billions of dollars. And this is what people don't understand. You could spend billions of dollars in Congress. And Angie, I don't know if you know this, but you could have 30 people present when a bill is going across to be passed. 30. And they could say yay, and you go, yay. And you go, nay, and a couple go, nay. And it's by voice. Oh yeah, yays have it. And unless somebody calls for a formal vote to bring people down, it passes.
Yeah. And that's why we should have roll call every single time, right? I want to know how my congressperson is voting, right? How am I going to make a decision in the even years if I want him or her back in, right? I want to have a recorded vote always. And that's the whole point. We have to have liabilities back. There's so much gaming of us, but quite honestly, I think voters are a little bit smarter now. Maybe your audience is. We're a little bit more aware these days. The fact that Elon Musk wants to put into his own AI program all these bills that come down the pipeline. You mean like the little citizen me, can read the bills too, even if our own congressional members don't always read them before they sign off on them? Like, I want to understand what's going on. And maybe, I'm a political nerd, but these are the laws that affect me and my children. Don't you think I want to know what they say? Right. So I think all that is coming down the pipeline. That's my hope anyway. I know, you need a disruptor like a Trump, like an Elon Musk to go in there and be like, this is crazy. Like, if there was any company that ran this way, you just couldn't do it. I mean, every single day we were seeing reports about how crazy our government is. And no one's complacent here, because guess what? You have 435 members of Congress. And then you have you have 100 senators and all these other people. They all knew about this. They could have done something about this all these years, but they didn't. So now we're here. So now we're going to have to do all the hard stuff, but that's fine. I'm prepared for it. I signed up for this. I voted for this. And I think most Americans did. That's why we have Trump now. Now it's a matter of keeping the pathway clear so that we can have the results that we want in hopefully less than 4 years.
Yeah, so I am cautiously optimistic because there's so many trap doors put in place for President Trump. And I haven't gotten to it yet, but Laura Loomer went and met with President Trump, and all of a sudden a bunch of people got fired at Trump's cabinet, right? Or in his administration.
Yeah.
And
NSA, yeah.
And there's more to come. But there's massive problems that President Trump landmines that he has to maneuver around, and everyone can see it. But I'm cautiously optimistic because they're now, Angie, it's been slowed down to the point where the bad people can sit on the sidelines and they can play and see what the next move is. They can see it. It's very transparent. And so because of that, they're being allowed to do things and lie with impunity. If you go to any of the social platforms, the amount of lies that are coming out of the politician's mouth, I mean, they're lying to their people. Like, President Trump's going to cancel Social Security. President Trump is going to get rid of infectious diseases support in different states. I mean, this is the type of stuff that these people are saying. And it's causing a frenzy. And what I said before to Elon Musk is you cannot overstate the impact of the Chicken Little. Sky is falling, sky is falling, sky is falling. And the repetitiveness of their messaging, what makes it seem as if you say something over and over and over and over again, all the stupid people will follow. They'll believe it. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, and it's left to you and I, who luckily we have this platform to talk about it. One of the
Right.
biggest things I want taught in our schools is media literacy. Because there's so much BS out there. And I echo it too, because I'm like, oh my goodness, another clickbait. That makes me just retweet right away. And then I go back and I think, maybe I'm getting played. And worse so, we're now seeing that there are branding companies getting into the political game. They hire 150 influencers and pay them $70 a tweet so that they can push out all that stuff. And what we're going to find out, if we haven't found out already, is that the communication staffs for a lot of our congressional members, they're using it. So they're also part of this program, whether or not they're getting paid for it or if they're being pushed out from a different program. The whole thing is an echo chamber. We all fall for it. We all react to it. That's the scary part, that we actually believe this to be true because we saw it online. What we don't do is we no longer dig a little deeper. Look, everything that you just mentioned, all these things about Social Security and all this other kind of like crisis actors online telling us to be fearful of this, that, or the other. My own kids are telling me this, and at the dining room table. And I'm like, wait, hang on. That's not exactly what happened. You need to think about this. You need to look into that. And so I have to teach them how to do it. But as you said before, I went to journalism school at Columbia. So I can almost pull it apart like a science. But how many of us actually do that? No, none of us. We're all controlled. We understand certain things sells. Fear sells all day long. And that is what's being pumped into our system. That's why we're all on edge, is because we're constantly being sold this stuff. And not just fear. There's a lot of narratives that are being sold to us that we absorb, and then it becomes the truth, right? And that is the whole point. That's propaganda. And we are doing it to our own people. Except I don't have a way out of this. You and I, we're both journalists. We both expose the truth. But how do you get out of this cycle? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think the first way to get out of the cycle is you have to work the problem, not the symptom to the problem. Symptoms always leave us open to them creating a new symptom that basically makes us chase our tails. So it's small cons, big cons. You always say chaos favors the op, never favors the people. And unfortunately, the left and the right, both sides, you have controlled opposition on both sides. And you just said it, greed, ego, all creeps into it. By the third term, they've got amnesia, right? Our politicians have amnesia. And they've captured the apparatus. It's the perfect formula. If you've ever studied or looked at the history of politics and or the art of war, which I've read now probably 36 times, just to get a feeling for what they're actually doing. It's very true. It's very easy to capture a society. All you have to do is have a few mechanisms where you can reach into the ear of the people around you. Can I switch gears on you a little bit?
Yeah,
down in Florida.
please.
Did you get sick because of the fog?
I will tell you something. There was a lot of fog news actually up north a few months ago.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I had heard of it. And I looked around and I thought, this is weird because, traditionally you don't get this type of fog, and fog usually burns off by midday, right? So I've never experienced that before, kind of forgot about it. But then most recently, just a week ago, everyone had the same symptoms. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was from the fog, but it's something that I've not experienced before, but it's like the back of your throat. It's almost like a sore throat. And it's like a almost paralyzing pain because it shoots, well, depending on who you are, but for me, it like shot down the side of me. And I just went, what is that about? I've never had this before. But then I found that other people had the same thing. So clearly it was some sort of virus or something in the air. I don't know. I mean, it's a big mystery to me. I really love this kind of stuff because I know there are bioweapons everywhere. Right. I actually love this story, which I don't think we talk enough about, which is the Havana syndrome. Like, I really want to understand this to a point where, like, I want to know how this works, right? Because we've also seen that, especially in the political realm. So if there's something in the air, the water, or anything like that, I need to know, right? I mean, I represent a very small portion of Miami here, which is downtown Miami and Brickell. one of the most densely populated areas in all of Florida. So I want to be able to tell my voters what's going on here if something is going on. But first we have to be aware of what it is. So what do you think is happening?
Well, I want to show you some stuff. This might actually make you grossed out a little bit. So this first one is Dr. Jane Ruby sent samples of a plastic sheet that was collecting fallout from the skies of Florida. This actually happened. And also collected fallout from a recent fog event, which sickened a lot of people. They were able to examine the samples both under the microscope and also via a ICP-MS mass spec analysis for heavy metals. The results are a little bit crazy, if not horrifying. I'm not the one to easily rattle. This is Heath Ranger's deal. I'm not the one to be easily rattled by low levels of metals, which I'm seeing in these results is truly disturbing, finding both biological life forms of some kind and also crazy high levels of toxic metals, including ridiculous levels of aluminum falling out of the sky. Beginning today and all this week, I will be sharing with you some of the microscopic photos of the test labs, the interview clips, and more. This is high-level red alert issue. We're also having smoking gun laboratory evidence that insane things are falling out of the skies in Florida and sickening people. We all know that some of this stuff is incredibly toxic, heavy metals and toxic elements. Much more to come for the photo. The magnification is approximately 2,000x. And so if you look at this picture, this is a picture of what they were able to collect from that fog. I don't know what it is. I'm not a biologist, but it doesn't look good. I don't think I'd want to breathe that. Maybe.
Yeah, no, and that looks like a cancer causing something. I don't know, and we don't know. We're probably not testing this. I can't say that for sure. I would have to ask some government officials about that. But what we do know is that there are lots of things falling out of the sky that we can visibly see. The NASA launch station up in Cape Canaveral, that's not that far away from us. And when they launch the rockets, we always see it in our skylines, right? I guess we're on some sort of pathway here in Miami where we can see these rocket launches. And recently, one of Musk's rockets blew up and it scattered. Granted, it scattered all in the water, but we could see the explosion, right? So we don't know what's going into our skylines. Most recently, just a few months ago, Ron DeSantis designated a old defunct military base in Homestead, Miami, to be the next spaceport. Now, I don't know how much has been developed there. I don't think very much, but that's where they want to start, doing a lot of the kind of space industries. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I bet EPA or other agencies, they haven't really caught up to things yet. But if that is a health concern, and if that's coming from space exploration and space industries, we should definitely know about that. But if it's coming from other places, and Miami has plenty of theories about that because we're so close to Cuba, we should look into it.
Okay, so somebody else did a private sampling, which I find fascinating. And that sampling in Naples, Florida, indicated the fog contained Serratia Marcini's bacterial sample, heavy fog glass container in home property in Florida. So I don't know what that means, but basically they're parasites.
Wow.
They're bacterial parasites.
What does that do to the body?
Nothing good, I don't think. And more importantly is, why would they do it? And I say they because they have to know. I mean, the government people have to know what's happening. Right?
We should trace back to when this has been happening, right? Because I can tell you a lot of people are sick and it's a mysterious illness all at once. We're always being told by doctors and whatnot, oh, it's just a flu, a virus, a cold, because they don't know and they don't want to really do the work or the extra work to examine what's really been going on until it reaches a critical mass. It doesn't really get anywhere except for shows like this that talks about it. So no, I'm very curious as to what is going on. So Joe, what do you suspect is going on?
I don't know. I mean, if I knew, I would tell you. If I even had a thought of what it could be, I'd tell you. But I don't know. Like, I look at it from a different perspective. Mine gets right to the why. Like, why are we not so pissed off about this that we're literally mass evicting people everywhere? And why are we so complacent? We're letting them murder Americans. I mean, there's stories now coming out of people dying with no diagnosis, 50 days in this one says 50 days of hospitalization. He worked in the fog for 16 hours at least once, got pneumonia, then drained his lungs. His blood went bad. They gave him 10 units of blood, 8 plasma treatments, heart attack, stroke, retinal failure, death. And I don't know how true that is either. I mean, you don't know when people are lying to you or telling you the truth. I just look at it and go, it's weird. Yes, there's heavy metals in it, but who's doing it? And how come they're not telling the American people, right? I mean, how do they just walk past it while people are dying? They did the same thing in 2020.
I wonder if this is a test. We've been seeing a lot of kind of tests, beta tests lately. And it's really to see how much we can get away with, right? Who is going to notice? We all have camera phones now, right? We can record things. I am very worried about a bio weapon coming onto our shores. I'm sure there are plenty already that's set up for us. And we don't know what's going on because, quite honestly, our government's still getting set up. Right? We haven't hired everybody. The Trump administration it still needs time to roll out. I mean, just look at the DOJ, the individual district offices, they're not even filled out yet, right? So that's just one example. Can you imagine all the other agencies that are still looking for, employees? So they're not on it, and they know that this is a window to test things and no one's going to notice.
No one is going to notice. I think that's the problem. We're so consumed with just living a life and trying to keep up. Like, we have no control over anything. We don't own our own homes because we have property tax. You don't pay it, they take it from you. I mean, everywhere we turn, we become institutionally enslaved. It's the craziest thing ever because now people are realizing it. And now we don't have fair and free elections. You can't hire people or to represent you. Like, if you want to sue someone, you got to have a treasure trove of cash sitting around in order to sue them. And then the judiciary is captured by really rotted judges. So then you got to hope that you get a really good judge in the middle of all that, because when it gets all the way up to the very end, goes to the Supreme Court, they just say they denied cert and you're right back at zero. And you paid all this money to have a rotted judiciary steal the rights of the American people. It seems crazy.
We live that world, sadly. And you're right. Unless you have the money to play, you stay quiet, you stay complacent, you try to be in the shadows just so you can live a semi-normal life. It's sad. And I think that's why we're welcoming this sort of disruption that's coming right now. I mean, we just heard very recently about the Trump tariffs. We're going to be feeling that pain for a while. And I think Americans will feel the pain. We're going to see higher prices on various things, but I think we're willing to do that in order to finally get it right. And maybe it's not going to be perfect, but at least it's going to be more right than it is right now. And if we could do that with our court systems, our judicial systems, our criminal justice systems, all of it, it's a lot. And I hope to God that Trump has those disciples to help him carry through all this work that needs to be done. I don't know if it will be. I mean, I'm already looking at politics and elections and campaigns. And, we're going to do everything we can to secure the midterms for Trump. He has to have a few more House members just to make sure that we have all the votes that he needs so he can stop producing these executive orders and actually run them through Congress for some laws that's going to last a long time. Not executive orders that go away when he gets out of his presidency.
Yeah, I feel like we're sometimes doing the right thing, sometimes we're not. And politics has become so dirty, but churches aren't allowed, pastors aren't allowed to talk about it. We're not allowed to talk about it. We get blocked, and it's conspiracy theory, and they got fact checkers, and they're getting rid of fact checkers. So they just decided. I mean, it to me feels as if. I mean, Angie, there's got to be a way out of this for the people, right? Doesn't there?
Yeah, we just have to be smarter. Look, we understand the games. We understand the traps. I think you and I are of medium intelligence, if not more. We could figure this out. It's just whether or not we have the will to or the energy to, right? I mean, I've been looking at a lot of our problems with online AI, and especially with, like, we love our First Amendment, but guess what? We kind of like let people abuse that as well. So I certainly am looking at other countries, how they do deal with similar issues that we have. We just need to start talking about it, because when we bring it to light, we do something about it, right?
Well, what do you mean by that? That the First Amendment, we've let people take advantage of it. You mean the fact they lie to people?
Well, so for example, like I was being hunted by an online stalker for about 2 years, my family and I. And oh yeah, it was nasty, disgusting. The guy has mental problems. And so I couldn't, I'm sorry?
Are you married?
I'm married. I have children. I have, I have a nuclear family, the whole thing. But yeah, it was awful. I mean, it destroyed me for a while because I was just emotionally drained from all this. And of course, I'm in politics, right? So being a politician, you can get attacked all day long. But here's the thing. If that person committed the same crimes that he did offline, he'd be arrested by now. But instead, online, well, our social media companies protects him, not me. I'm the victim. He can say all these crazy things about me, that I'm a Chinese spy, I'm a prostitute, I'm all these things, right? And our social media companies protects him. And that's what I mean. Like
so I'm gonna tell you something. Somebody attacked my wife. They started saying bad things about her. I literally had to go to their home, and I told them, you even mentioned my wife's name in passing. Like I told, when somebody asked me, did you actually do that? It's like, absolutely. Like you mess with me all you want. Say whatever you want me. You touch my wife, I tell you what, I'll do 20 to life.
And that's the problem. You would be the one who got jailed for harassing and intimidating and threatening somebody who's hurting a family member.
No, they would be drinking through a straw for the rest of their life. I already made the choice. I mean, I'm that guy, right? I'm like, look, if you want that consequence, if you're willing to do that, because I revere my wife, and I'm not going to let somebody happen to my wife. And I would probably sue him to death first. And if that didn't work, then I'd.
Yeah, well, and that's what I did. And luckily a judge agreed with me that this guy's a total creep and I have a permanent injunction. But the whole point being is that I had to go through 2 years of hell to realize how broken our system is. And now I want to do something about it. Look, I never wanted to be a lawmaker. I don't know policy work. I mean, I know elections and I know how to run campaigns and stuff, but it almost pushes me to the point where I have to go and run for something so I can change the laws so that no one else can get attacked like I had, right? And I look at companies, and I've spoken to a lot of cybersecurity people about this and where we're broken. So and why we go back to the First Amendment is because Americans love the First Amendment. They don't want to shut the guy up, even though he is doing things purposely and using SEO tools to attack me and my family. But I can't do anything about it because we love our First Amendment. And that's how he argued in court. Didn't work out for him, unfortunately, but I mean, fortunate for me. Yeah. But then it's really.
But you had to pay a bunch of money to do that.
And I said to the judge, I am fortunate enough to sit here today and be able to do it, that I can afford to do it. I can tell you about 20 other victims of this same stalker that could not do it, and they had to stay in silence. And to this day, they rot in their homes, afraid of their lives. And literally, all these other people have come out talking to me about the same guy and how he has messed up their lives. So I was very happy to do it. I'm a girl from Queens, New York. You're going to come after me. You better be ready. So I went after him, and we're going to go again. And now I'm going to make this, if not me, I am certainly working with a few lawmakers to turn this around. We're going to make lemonade. We're going to make lemonade all day long. And I've been doing a lot of my research on cybersecurity, speaking to people in Switzerland, how they do it, right? Yeah. Because guess what? The internet is everywhere. And so I have a few proposals that I like to get into bills, hopefully getting it onto the floor of Congress, so that it protects people that you can't just abuse the First Amendment. You can't just say anything that causes harm to others and incites violence to others. You know, I heard you earlier talking about Tina Peters. So much of what we do now is a narrative that is built by someone who is looking to harm you.
Yep.
And then it's left to you to defend yourself. And when you do defend yourself, oh, no, you can't do that. And we see this, it's a sickness that we have that social media created. So we need laws that it's going to protect us, like actual real life laws, not these fake laws that protect and are lobbied by our social media. I need that on the table. I need lawmakers to understand that. I mean, I was just joking around the other day that we have lawmakers right now that still print out their emails to read them and respond to them. What are they doing writing laws for the future with AI and social media and all the rest? They don't even understand how to turn on their own computers. So we do need some new blood in our legislature to protect us, because these are modern day laws now that needs amending or new laws to come into our society. So I'm very passionate about that stuff.
And you are going to run for office?
I think I almost have to, Joe, because of what has happened. And if anyone who knows me, like, I don't let this stuff sit. I know that this is a real problem. If I'm experiencing it, I know I'm not the only one. I don't want my daughter experiencing this. And I wish, like I had an alpha male ready to punch someone out. Right. Every day.
I was built for this, man. I'm telling you right now. I was, I'm not a violent person. I'm capable of great violence. Guaranteed. But I'm not a violent person. I choose to love Jesus. I follow Jesus. I live my life in the Lord. I've never, ever, ever looked for an opportunity to hurt someone, ever. Like, I'm just not. But if you hurt someone around me, if I see you making a victim out of someone, like, I'm the guy that if you're out there and you try to rob someone, I'm probably going to hurt you.
Look but Joe, you had to be pushed all the way to the edge, right? And how many of us are already there? And like, you and I can process this stuff, right? But what about a 13-year-old who's being bullied online? They can't process this stuff.
No,
so can't. I mean, there's another woman politician by the name of Melinda Chitterelli out of New Jersey. We started something called Operation Bully Proof. And we're two moms. We're just trying to like do something because we're both in politics. We can affect the laws. We can affect politicians. And I think this is the right thing to do. I mean, again, I'm in my 40s. I can deal with the bad guys. But I worry about, the younger generation that they just don't know how to process it, or worse, they internalize it. And they really believe all these awful negative falsehoods that are put out there about them are true. They just don't have the skin for it yet. And I just can't have that happen. And we're allowing it to happen. We can actually do things about it. And I see laws in the UK and in the EU that do address this. Maybe not perfectly, but it's certainly a step forward, right? And I think that's kind of the stuff that we need right now. So am I going to run? Yeah, I'm going to run for something when the time is right. And I'm certainly working with a handful of lawmakers who have personally witnessed what I've gone through. And they've obviously, as a politician, you go through all sorts of weirdness like this. So they're quite supportive. It's just a matter of crafting a bill that makes a lot of sense that will get bipartisan support.
Absolutely. Well, if you promise to run for just 2 terms, because you said by the 3rd term you get amnesia, so everyone can just run 2 terms, then I'll endorse you for sure.
Oh, I think that's the right way. And I wish more politicians would come out and say, look, I don't want to be a lifer. I want to get in, I want to get out. I know it all starts off good and well, but you know what? You step in there, man, you're like a king on the Capitol. Everyone, kisses your feet. You've got a staff. Everyone wants your attention. You're on TV. I get it. You get drunk on the romance of it. So I understand what that looks like. But man, we got to cycle some of these people out, because I think I counted something like 11 or 12 members of Congress that will be over 80 by the time the midterm elections comes around. I don't want to be mean to old people, but if you're not all up there, get out. Just leave.
I mean, I agree with you fully. I believe there should be a maximum age, as just like there's a minimum age, because you can see even Mitch McConnell walking around like a drone everywhere that he goes, and you know that he's being controlled by someone. I do have a recommendation for people, though, that want to get drunk on that stuff that went for Congress. Go start a company, because then you can hire an assistant. So I have an assistant. I have companies. I have tech companies, and I have gun companies, and I have other companies. And so you can actually have a staff of people that you pay, do it, and you don't have to take from the American people. It's like the greatest thing ever. You just have to have something of value that people want to follow. It's a novel concept for many people.
Too much work, Joe. That's way too much work. Wouldn't you rather just get a check from the government for unlimited amounts and have unlimited power?
No, but I'm also not. I'm also not punch drunk on power or money. Right? There's nothing that people have that I want. I just want to help my brothers and sisters have a better life. I want the things that I've gotten in my life, because I grew up super poor. I want the things that I've been able to accomplish in my life. I want them to be available to people in the inner city, Democrat, Republican, left, right, green, yellow, purple. I don't care. But I want those opportunities to be there without having to go through what I went through, because I had to fight. I mean, it's been a 30-year fight.
Well, whenever you want something so badly, it's always a fight. And I'm glad you got there. And I'm glad you appreciate what you have, because so many of us, we don't look backwards. You should run for office, Joe. You seem to have the right insights for what it takes.
If they don't get it figured out for governor, I'll probably run for the governor of Colorado. But my wife of 23 years, I don't particularly want to dishonor her and do something she doesn't want me to do. So, but don't think I haven't thought of it. But I believe that we have to we have to doge the states. We have to get rid of this institutional environment where they allow for people to steal the voice and steal the money of the American people. And we 56 cents on every dollar goes to the government in one way, shape, or form. And that shouldn't be the way it is. You shouldn't be able to tax dollars you've already taxed. You shouldn't be able to take from people what is not yours. And people should have prosperity. They should have opportunity. There shouldn't be an education drought in the middle of the inner city, right? We should be able to, and it's run by Democrats that then build a school to prison pipeline that they make money on. And on top of all that, they want to teach them social justice. But let me ask you a question, Angie. When's the last time you've seen American Airlines or United Airlines or the Engineer Society or Lockheed Martin in the inner city saying, hey, you guys want to be a pilot? You want to be an engineer? It never happens. It doesn't happen.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm on a lot of American airline flights. I'll tell you, 75% of the flights I've taken in the last year has been delayed or canceled or some muckety muck. And I often wonder how much of that goes back to all the DEI hiring. That's a whole other topic altogether. I grew up in a time where there was equal opportunity, and that, I went to the New York City public school. There was like 46 different languages spoken in my school. English was a second language at best. And you learn just to get along, like you have to. That's your survival. You don't care what color that person is or where their parents are from.
At all.
I didn't see color, is what I'm saying, growing up. It was only taught to me much later on that it's a problem. And I realize now how much of that is the Democratic control of New York City, right? Because you have to create the crisis in order to be the solution, which supposedly is the Democratic Party, right? They're going to offer you all of the solutions in the world. But what they actually do is entrap you, because by the time you're pretty much 17, 18 years old, you're kind of trapped in that banking system and you owe them for life, right? Not only your taxes, but all your money go through the banking system and you have to pay all your fees and they just capture you. So we now know we're all messed up. Now what? What do we do now?
Absolutely. Well, I have to tell you, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, and I didn't see color at all. My family's interracial. And I dated a Hawaiian Japanese girl in high school, and her dad hated me because I was white. I was like, well, got news for you. So there is this thing that does happen in inner cities, that there's tension that happens that it seems to have grown on the East Coast specifically. Like it's not the same as when you were going to school. It's not the same. Like I go back and there's a tension. There's a racial tension that is pronounced.
Always, but you know what? We were probably feral kids. right? We're probably one of the last generations that really got coddled. It's like, here's a key, figure out how to get home, right? So we had to figure out how to like each other and solve our own problems.
That's right. That's right.
And
like we didn't have
deal
that
with
problem.
it.
Yeah.
Right. So
when
now
the
it's
lights went
like,
out, you had to be home, and mom and dad weren't home. They weren't
That's it.
there.
right, cook your own dinner, right? So
So
it's like
true.
now it's like, let's just create the problem and let's solve it for everybody. And then
Yeah.
here's like it's not a one size fits all society, right? You can't solve my problems, right? You can't solve the other person's problem with like all these initiatives and all this money thrown around everywhere. It just doesn't work. We tried it their way for a long time. And now I'm ready to try something else. And I think that's why Trump got into office.
Yep.
And I think he sees, I mean, look, he's a kid from, not that he was a kid in the 80s. He was like, full blown playboy, millionaire by then. But, like he's also a New Yorker. He's from Queens, where I'm from.
And he doesn't
knows.
play.
No. And it's like, you go figure out stuff, do the hard thing. Right. We have, and this is, I'm going completely off tangent. I mean, we have an entire society of like these like soft men, right, that can't do anything. And I have a son. I can't raise him like this. He's got to figure out how to do a few things.
You better not tell him to rub some dirt in it. I don't feel good. Rub some dirt in it. How's that?
But,
Get back out there.
That is, I had to pull my kids out of public school and put them into private school because the public schools were teaching men how not to be men, how not to be masculine, how not to do sports. That was probably one of the first programs that got cut, which was all the sports teams when they had to cut anything. I unfortunately, New York City public school really wasn't anything like when I went to it. Yeah, it's always rough and tough. But this was like just making men women. It literally was. I saw the program myself and I had to yank my kids out.
Yeah. Well, how do people follow you?
Do you guys want to follow me after all that? Okay, sure.
100%. And by the way, if you run for office, I might run for office.
Hey, let's make a pact right now and figure it out.
No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. So
it's a family decision for sure.
Yeah,
like the whole family has to get in. But I feel like we need some really good people running this country right now. People who can be flexible as well as hard and have, the right common sense ideas, right? Because we've seen what happens when you give too much rope, right? The other side would just take all of it and run with it and steal all your money. We're still kind of trying to backtrack from all the destruction that's happened over the last 2 decades or so. But yes, you can follow me at Angie Wong on Twitter. That's where I'm most visible. I'd love to hear from you guys. Please write to me. And that's just at Angie Wong. So there it is. Thank you.
I'm following you literally right now.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I love to hear from you guys. I run my mouth a lot, probably more than I should, but I think we need to start having those real conversations so that we can start fixing things. And we need people who are just of this century, right, to get in as lawmakers so that we can write laws for our kids and for our future that makes sense for this time.
So you mean nobody that was born in the 1800s, like half of the Congress?
Look, if you're still up there, all there, and you still can, do stuff.
Come on, they're not up there. They're like walking around with like walkers. It looks like an old folks home when you go to the Capitol. It does.
They do call it the old folks country club, a very, very wealthy country club. Look, I get it. All of it, it sounds dreamy. It's a lot of work. And I see the real work that happens up on the Hill. I really, it's a thankless job in many, many ways. There's a lot of lawmakers that don't go on media that really, really get things done. So I appreciate that. And I know it's hard because you're getting attacked all day long. Your fundraisers asking you to jump on 1 million phone calls just so that they can make money. And you have all these DC consultants like swarming around you. So it's tough. You got to have some skin, but look, if you decide to run, please let me know. I'm in full support of you, Joe. And gubernatorial races, I've run a few. They're hard. They're really, really hard. But you know what? I think that the right person for the right job, every voter can always smell authenticity. So if you have it, and I know you have it, you should do it.
I do what the good Lord tells me to do, and with my wife's blessing. So, I mean, it may sound like I just do what my wife tells me to do. That anybody that knows me knows that's not true. But I do believe that you honor your wife, right? And and 23
Can you call my
years later,
husband? Can you have a chat with him?
100%. Just have him. Just tell him to come to Colorado. I'll have a nice talk with him.
Yeah, we love Colorado. Colorado is the best. No, seriously, we love Breckenridge.
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah, that's it's just a really, really pretty town. So no, I hope to see you in person one day. And thank you again for having me on. It was not what I expected at all. I usually talk politics and policies and everything else. This was definitely, we talked about mysterious fog.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because you're down there. And I was like, let's talk about the fog a little. Got to talk about what's happening down there. And DeSantis is trying to get away from the geoengineering weather stuff. He said, write me a bill and I'll sign it. So, I mean, it might have something to do with that. I just believe they know. They just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, because it would be a massive public scare. But now I'm going to go test the air, because now I'm thinking, like when you start talking about illnesses, all of a sudden you start feeling sick. That's what's happening to my body as we speak.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. Hey, Angie, thanks for joining me. God bless you. And I look forward to having you on again.
God bless you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, she's pretty awesome, actually. I hope she does run for office. I'll definitely support her. And we need people that run for office that understand the landscape and are not afraid to talk about. Somebody said that Lauren Boebert that she got to the third term and she forgot who she was. And Lauren hasn't forgotten where she is or where she plays the game now. She understands the landscape, just like President Trump coming in. And I'm frustrated by things that are happening right now and not happening, especially with Tina Peters. But I also recognize that, there's a lot going on. Like there's a lot going on all at the same time, and they're running the big cons and the small cons at all times, like constantly running those cons. And so for President Trump to kind of feel his way through it, same as Lauren Boebert, it just takes a lot. It takes a lot to do it. So it takes a special kind of person to want to stay in there for longer than 2 terms anyway. But I don't know. I'm still considering the run for governor. We'll see how it goes. So I want to switch gears a little bit. By the way, you get a chance to Angie Wong, ANGIEWONG, at Angie Wong. Go follow her on X and support her if she runs for office, which I think she will. So Laura Loomer went to visit the White House yesterday, and right afterwards, 3 NSC people were fired. 3. Security Council people. Go on. See you. And I'm not sure that I appreciate what she's saying a little bit. So let's just go through this. She said, I wasn't joking. Vetting matters. Mr. Trump may act on some of Ms. Loomer's recommendations. By the way, it's not Mr. Trump. It's President Trump may act on some of Ms. Loomer's recommendations. 2 of the people said, just put it up there if you would, please. 2 of the people said that Ms. Loomer walked into the White House with a sheet of papers, which amounted to a massive opposition research attacking the character and the loyalty of numerous NSC officials. 2 of the people said she proceeded to eviscerate them in front of their boss, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, who was also in the meeting. I literally have, I need to put my glasses on. Hold on a second here. Gosh, you're killing me. Getting old. Oh, thanks for this, by the way. Take it down. And Laura Loomer said this. Let's, if we can watch just a little bit of this. This is Laura Loomer talking to Steve Crowder. Let's go and play it.
Give me 2 seconds.
Oh, you got to do that 2-second thing.
Yep, I need the 2 seconds.
I had to put my glasses on. You guys don't even know. I do like my new studio. It's kind of fun. And it's comfortable. So comfortable.
It looks a lot more comfortable.
Huh?
I have my nice chair and I get jealous. Okay, now I got it.
All right, let's play it.
I just think that there needs to be more appreciation demonstrated to Trump loyalists, because unfortunately, we do see a lot of gatekeeping in the GOP. And the thing that I harped on the most during the campaign season was, the importance of vetting. We need to vet people so that we don't have the same nightmare that we saw happen in the first administration, where people who were disloyal to President Trump curry favor once the election's over, after shit talking him the entire election season, and then they just get to go, oh, you know what, I'm gonna sneak in, and I'm gonna reap all the benefits and the glory and the praise of getting a White House job.
Sure.
I thought that we were keeping a binder full of receipts. I don't know if some of the people on the campaign meant it when they said they were keeping the receipts, but I meant it.
Yeah.
I literally have a binder of receipts, and I know who's loyal and I know who is disloyal.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard for me. I mean, I appreciate Laura Loomer. I do. And I think she is loyal to the president. I'll also say this. It's hard for me to sit there and watch her with their thing that says Rumble on it. Because Rumble does everything they can to silence any voice. It's like a club. And I'm saying this as a guy that had shares of Rumble. I sold all my shares of Rumble. Sold them all. I was like, why would I owe stock in a company that suppresses my voice and does things to make sure the channel, as it grows, it's like the games that they play, right? They suppress the quality of the number of people that can get on it and actually have a good experience when they watch it on Rumble. And you'd say, well, Joe, how do you know that? I don't know, because 5.5 million people came to my website last month. Was it 5.5, Apollo?
Yeah,
5
5,
million.
4, 6.
And yet I get 250 people that watch it on Rumble. And yeah, it's connected to other things like Roku and all that stuff, so you can watch it lots of places. But it makes me laugh that she's behind a mic that basically is a popularity contest organization that says they're free speech. I'm not convinced that's the case. Sorry, Chris. That's why I sold my stock. I sold my stock in all that stuff related to these companies that say that they're for free speech and, conservative values, because they weren't. They weren't. So I was out. But here's the article from CNN, if you didn't see it. White House fires multiple administration officials after president meets with far-right activist Laura Loomer. This goes through the firing scheme after Laura Loomer, the far-right activist who once claimed 9/11 was an inside job, urged President Trump during a Wednesday meeting to get rid of several members of the National Security Council staff, including the principal deputy national security advisor, claiming that they were disloyal. One of the sources said Loomer had compiled a list of roughly a dozen names. The subsequent firings were the direct result of the meeting with Loomer, who was an influential voice around Trump during the 2024 campaign last fall. Principal Deputy National Security Advisor Alex Wong, who was not among those who had been dismissed on Wednesday. However, one White House official speculated to CNN Thursday that Wong could be out as soon as today, although a final decision remains to be seen. Wong was one of the advisors specifically targeted by Loomer, who publicly questioned his loyalty to Trump and criticized him privately as a never-Trumper. One of the sources speculated that National Security Advisor Michael Waltz may have been reluctant to fire Wong because he had been embroiled in the controversy surrounding the leak of controversial signal messages related to the military strike on Yemen that Waltz and his team had been under fire for initiating. Look, I can tell you right now, somebody did that in order to hurt President Trump, for sure. The three officials fired include Brian Walsh, Director of Intelligence and former top staffer for now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Thomas Broderick. Okay, so let me just tell you something. If you want to get rid of people, you want to hear something unpopular? Paulo, you want to hear something unpopular?
Oh, yeah.
Marco Rubio is literally controlled opposition down in South and Central America, or some really, really bad people associated with George Soros. And I'm going to talk specifically about Guatemala and what I know about Guatemala and the trafficking of children, and the AG in Guatemala, who frankly should be supported by the apparatus in the United States fully supported by the apparatus in the United States. But instead, they're standing with the president of Guatemala, who is the founder of the Samia Party, which got the same logo as open societies and George Soros's deal that peddles children, and was fully funded in a fraudulent election there. And by the way, oh my gosh, I just rabbit holed myself. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Marco Rubio goes there and embarrasses the AG, who is under sanctions by the State Department, and Blinken hasn't lifted that sanctions. Hasn't lifted the sanctions. I have receipts. You want to see receipts? I have receipts. I have receipts on Tina Peters, 400 gigabytes. 400 gigabytes of information I have on Tina Peters that eviscerates the investigators against Tina Peters at the AG's office, at the Attorney General's office, that then had Mesa County do the persecution, but the AG's office ran that investigation. They ran Dan Rubenstein. It was all run by the AG's office by Phil Weiser. All run. I have all the receipts of them, literally 100%. Trafficking children. You remember? Sorry, somebody just came through the window. Can we get Perry in here? Can you get Perry in here? Just set him up. I have a special guest that just came in. I was going to pick him up, but I got on here with you guys instead. But Samantha Power was the USAID director in Guatemala when all the stealing of the election, the embassy in Guatemala is completely infiltrated with really, really bad people. And yet, come on in here. Sit down. Get them dialed in. How are you? Yeah. Ready? Give me 2 minutes and we'll get out of here. Actually, 10 minutes. How was your flight? It's very short. He's a good dude, huh? Hey, get him mic'd up. Can we get him mic'd up? Where is he? No. You don't want to mic up? Oh, no, not today. Not today. I can't mic him up. But probably one of the coolest cats, one of the best attorney minds you're ever going to find. Biggest entrepreneurs is sitting next to me. Can I at least tell him who you are? Okay, I'm not allowed to tell you who he is either. I'm talking to you. Yeah, I don't want to. Okay. Anyway, good friend sitting next to me. Yeah, he's on the small list of the who's who around America. I'll say that. Can I say that? I can say that. Yeah, he's definitely one of the who's who's. He's done some crazy stuff. All right, so if you want to get rid of all the grift and graft and all the people that are disloyal to President Trump, you got to get rid of Marco Rubio. He won't listen. He's standing up for the Semilla Party, which is the party of prostituting women and children from Guatemala. I'm not a Marco Rubio fan. Why? Because I've given him all the stuff. I sent all the stuff to him. He ignored it. Yeah, and by the way, the people in Guatemala, like the Attorney General Perez, only Attorney General be elected twice to be the Attorney General in the history of Guatemala. She can't actually fight the battle herself. And I can't legally fight the battle for her. And you want to know how they did that? Marco Rubio? I mean, Laura Loomer, I should send that stuff to her. She'll have fun with him. Remember, this is the guy that got nearly unanimously, left and right, Democrats and Republicans all elected Marco Rubio. He was the most popular guy in the election process for the Secretary of State ever. Everyone voted for him, which should tell you something. But she can't, and neither can her staff, because they're on a sanctions list in Guatemala. So Marco Rubio can go down there, meet with the president, embarrass the attorney general, say that she's guilty of corruption. I've seen it. I've seen the evidence they have on the president. I have the reports upstairs in my office. The reports of the election fraud in the election that got a no-name, didn't even register on anybody's radar, like wasn't even known at all, that became the most popular president in Guatemalan history. with a fraudulent system that mimics that we have in the United States. Marco Rubio, you want to get rid of someone, get rid of him. Get rid of the guy that literally is a Manchurian leader within the Trump campaign. Sorry, President Trump. Sorry, I would never call you Mr. Trump. President Trump, I'm telling you right now, it just look into Guatemala. That should be enough, because he was given all the receipts. I sent a whole package here. And the people that are good people in Guatemala can't speak because the embassy is filled with really bad people. You have the USAID office, which was run down in Guatemala, was run by Samantha Power, who then went on to be the head of USAID. So you're just eviscerating USAID at the federal level. What do you think's happening down in Guatemala and South and Central America? It's like CIA Central. And they're pushing people into positions of power and authority in all of these different countries. In Guatemala, they've captured it. And in Marco Rubio, you had an opportunity to go in there and do the right thing, reverse the sanctions, look at it, what Blinken did down in Guatemala, and say, this guy's a really bad person. But you didn't do any of that. You've done none. You've maintained status quo of the radical left, and you continue to do that to this day. There you go. That's what I think. You want to know what I think? JC, print it. Okay. And then the media is losing their mind over what Laura Loomer did. Which, by the way, like her or not, I don't care if you like her. I mean, she attacked one of my friends. And I just said, hey, you're wrong on this. And she respected it. And I've been on her show. She's been on mine. And I think Laura Loomer is actually a very sane, very amazing person. And so you'd say, she's unhinged. No, she's not. She just gives zero shits. She will go after anybody, right? And I don't know how you cannot respect that. You have to respect it. Anyway, this is CNN losing their shit over Laura Loomer going and meeting with the president. Let's play it.
Anyway, but on this, it is important to note that Laura Loomer is driving this. She is a far-right activist. She is someone who said that if Vice President Harris won the White House during the election, that it would smell like curry. Those were comments that were denounced by Republican allies of the president, including Vance at the times that he disagreed with it. And so she is the one who's really driving this, and it speaks to the level of influence that
And
she
let's
has.
talk about the impact on national security, who they are, and why this matters so much for how the national security of the United States of America is run and who's doing it.
Well, what's fascinating about this is that the three staffers that have been fired here are outside of Washington Beltway national security circles. These are pretty anonymous people. They are foreign policy minds that have serious resumes, that have worked serious jobs on Capitol Hill, in the State Department, in think tanks. You know, these are people that are well known in national security circles because they are longtime practitioners of foreign policy, experienced in making that kind of policy. These are the people that are sort of engaged in the nitty-gritty of actually designing national security policy for the president. But they're not big public figures. They're people like Brian Walsh, who was who ran intelligence programs for the White House, who formerly worked for Senator Marco Rubio when he was chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. You had a senior director who worked on technology issues for the National Security Council, and you had the head of legislative affairs for the National Security Council. So again, not people that are sort of big public names that you're hearing on cable news all day long. And I think it really speaks to this kind of lesson that the president felt that he learned out of his first administration of being managed up by these faceless bureaucrats.
Thank you both for your reporting. Appreciate you being here, getting up and in a little earlier. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
They went one step further and they started slandering Laura Loomer. Massively slandering Laura Loomer. Now, I want you to understand, Laura Loomer met with the president, does a lot of research. She has given information from a lot of different people, and there are operations that are running right now that I can't tell you about, but they're running all over the place. Like, to look into people that are really bad people. You call it the the James O'Keefe effect. There are a lot of people that are looking into these people. All of them. I wouldn't be surprised if there was 500-600 ops running right now just to catch them catch these really bad people. So, I mean, I personally think it's awesome. But they were slandering Laura Loomer, calling her a far-right activist, and they're doing it over and over and over again. This is a suicide mission against Laura Loomer. So let's go ahead and play the second cut.
CNN has learned the White House has fired multiple administration officials after the president met with a well-known far-right activist.
That's right. That activist is Laura Loomer, who you see there in red. She was seen there at the White House yesterday greeting Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Very much so there. CNN's Elena Treen outside the White House for us. Elena, your sources say Loomer urged Trump to terminate these employees. Can you tell us who they are, why they were let go?
Yeah, she actually went in, I was told, to the West Wing with a list of around a dozen names and urged President Donald Trump to fire them. A lot of this was more about loyalty tests and whether or not these people had the president's best interests at heart, at least from her point of view. Now, this was first reported by the New York Times, but what we've learned since is that the White House has actually moved forward with firing multiple administration officials. At least 3 national security staffers were also on that list. And look, it's interesting because we know that National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, he was actually meeting with the president in the Oval Office before Loomer had entered the West Wing and came in to meet with him. So he ended up staying back, and he was there while she was doing this, while she was telling him how many of the staffers who served beneath him, including his principal deputy secretary, his deputy secretary, Alex Wong, saying that he was too hawkish, that he wasn't loyal as well. So a very interesting meeting. And I want to give you just a little bit of context on Loomer, because she's someone, as you mentioned, she's a far-right activist. She's actually someone who had a lot of access to the president while he was on the campaign trail. We did a story last fall about how she had traveled with President Donald Trump to a 9/11 memorial, something that actually caused a lot of consternation within his inner circle. And she's been complaining in recent weeks as well that she hasn't had enough access to the West Wing. But yesterday, of course, we know now that she has met with him. And I'm told as well that the president actually moved forward with a lot of these firings because of her urging of him to do so. Now, I did speak with Loomer as well. I want to read you just a bit of the statement she sent me. She confirmed that she had met with him and said, out of respect for President Trump and the privacy of the Oval Office, I'm going to decline on divulging any details. But she went on to say that it was an honor to, quote, present him with my findings. I will continue working hard to support his agenda, and I will continue reiterating the importance of strong vetting for the sake of protecting the president and our national security. So you can hear there how she's clearly saying that she believes that people somehow got into the National Security Council without really being as loyal to the president as we know that, you know, many of these people who were actually vetted by Sergio Gore, the head of the Presidential Personnel Office. She's arguing that they weren't that loyal, and now we're seeing many of them actually get fired. Boris, Brianna.
All right, Elena Treen, thank you for the report. In less than an hour, a federal judge is expected to hold the Trump.
Well, there you go. Going after Laura Loomer. These are really, 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 really bad people. Really bad people. I want to show you something. I'm going to skip past this for a minute. I just got a couple more things to do. Then I got to go spend some time with my friend who literally came in just to see me. And so I'm going to spend some time with him. And yeah, you'll probably hear a lot more about my friend here in the future very, very soon. We're doing some crazy stuff. And just a shout out to some of the guys that I've been meeting with over the last few days, few weeks. We got some crazy stuff happening on the business side. And I'm really grateful for the friendships and the relationships and the partnerships that we're building right now. President Trump had this to say about Liberation Day. And this is the part nobody understands. Step 1, tariffs. Step 2, I'll let President Trump tell you. Let's go.
From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart.
So what he's saying is that we're going to get rid of income tax. Get completely away from and just have tariffs. In a very short period of time, $680 billion will be gained on the tariffs. And so what does that mean? Can we get to a place where our government is run off of tariffs? I think we can. So the last thing I want to say is that we have some really bad people in our government, terrible people. And yesterday, the U.S. Senate passed legislation that would terminate new tariffs on Canada. Hours after President Trump unveiled a raft of duties on foreign goods against countries spanning the globe, the Senate voted 51-48 to approve a bill, and Senate and the House of Representatives was likely to be shelved. And a blow to Trump, 4 Republicans teamed up with Democrats to advance the legislation, which is crazy. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a Republican, had urged defeat of the bill, arguing the shift attention away from Canada would be a step backwards. But the cartels simply shift tactics and expand their operations to the north, he said, adding, I think we can be confident the answer to that question is yes. But the cartels are in our government. Go take it down. I didn't get to talk to you about what's happening in Wisconsin. I'm going to just start it and end it here. If you think that the Wisconsin election was legitimate, you are sorely mistaken. And President Trump needs to swoop in, take control of the machines because they're used for federal elections. He needs to examine them, have the military do it, and he needs to get to the bottom of it and charge people with treason. We're finished. We're done with this. I think our tolerance level needs to go to 0, and we need to do everything we can to protect the American people. I'm going to pray us out. Before I pray us out, I want to tell you that my friend Jeff Breer, an amazing man, had cancer, and he's been going through it. I've been praying for him. I prayed for him on the show many times. Many of you, I've asked to pray for him. You've prayed for him. He got his report from the oncologist this morning that he is officially in remission. So congratulations, Jeff, and thank you, Lord. And thank you for all of you that prayed for Jeff. All right, let's pray it out. Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for Angie Wong. Thank you for the many people that are doing great work. Thank you for Laura Loomer. Thank you for President Trump and Elon Musk and all of the other great leaders. And forgive me, Father, if I wrongfully saw what Marco Rubio is doing as some sort of slight to or disloyalty to the American people, not so much as President Trump. But it's how I feel, and I'm going to speak the truth, Father. Father, we are grateful for the blessings you've given us. We're grateful for the relationships we have in our lives. And we're grateful for the abundance of what you've poured out on America specifically. Father, I just ask you to give us the right path to restore you to our community and to be able to fight back against this evil. We know that you are the answer and the place that will push us into eternal peace. So, Father, we ask you to give us the wisdom, the pathway, and to give us the ability to be gracious with each other, set aside petty differences, and fight the demons that are in front of us. We recognize, Father, that will not happen easily, and it will not happen without pain and suffering, as these are real battles, Father. So I just ask that you give us and equip us with the courage to be able to fight against this evil, and that you will allow our leaders in the country that are doing great things to accomplish those things, to remove obstacles, lift the burdens off their shoulders, and really push them to do things that unselfishly will serve the people not only in this country, but around the world. We seek peace, Father, but we do recognize in order to get the peace, we are going to have to drive the devil back into the hole. So I would just ask you, Father, to give us the ability to do that. Father, I also ask you to, as a special blessing over Tina Peters, you will lighten the load over her, and you will supernaturally deliver her from the bondage that she's in right now, this persecution. I would ask, Father, that people be held accountable. And I don't just pray that she is released, but she is released imminently, and that we can get to a place where we can hold the bad people in our state, in this country, responsible for the evil by which they have pushed on the American people, how they have pushed this on to Tina Peters. I ask these in Jesus' name, Father. I ask these in Jesus' name, that we literally do what we can to protect Tina Peters, get her out of this jail, and hold those people accountable. I ask these things, Father, humbly. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. It'll be Friday. We'll have a fun Friday tomorrow. Got a lot to talk about. Let's pray that Tina gets released. We do great things. I want to say thank you to everyone. Susan, I see you. Chole, I see you. Jeff, I see you. Who we got? Who else we got that? Piana in the state. Amen. Gotcha. Prayer partner just learned today that she has stage 4 breast cancer. I'm sorry I didn't get that before. I'll pray for him tomorrow. Jeff, make sure that I get the name of that individual. So thank you. God is good. God is great. Chole, you're absolutely right. I just want to thank those on Pilled that are on the website watching, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. God bless you all. We'll see you soon. And make sure to stay in the Word. We need you. And thank you to President Trump and Elon Musk and all those that are serving. Thank you. Thank you.